Hello and welcome to Starside Cafe. I'm Zach, and joining me is Aaron.
Hello.
And we have gotten into the Project Stream, the Google thing that is allowing people to play Assassin's Creed Odyssey for free.
Both of us got in very easily.
Well, so you got in before me, and then I was like, oh, you could totally sign up for this thing. And so I went and did it and got in like a few days later. So it's still, I would assume you could still sign up for it if you haven't already.
Yeah, if you're watching this right now, go try to do it, because I think we have access to Assassin's Creed Odyssey until, I want to say like
January?
Yeah, January 12th or something, which is insane.
Yeah, it is insane. For free. You don't have to, I don't think there's any like sort of prerequisites that you have to tell them. You just kind of like throw your name into the hat and they'll eventually pull it out and say, hey, you can now play this game for free in the Chrome browser until January, which is insane.
Yeah, and like, well, I guess let's talk about impressions, because I found it to be seamless. Like, I was using a controller at one point. I also used keyboard and mouse for a while, and I could detect almost like zero latency.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, so I played a little bit with an Xbox 360 controller, and then I later, when I was playing again, I plugged in a PS4 controller, and both of them worked just fine. And yeah, there was I couldn't tell any input latency, and that's fairly significant because my internet connection is not great. So like, I guess I can give the impressions of like what it's like playing on sort of a subpar internet speed. And to be honest, it's still playable. It's just kind of like, I think even if you have good internet, it's still running at 1080p and like 30 frames a second. And it doesn't always keep up to that benchmark. And there will be like some stutters and stuff. It's not like you're running it on super high-end hardware. Like the hardware essentially is taken out completely, and it's based solely on your internet speed. And so yeah, there's like no graphical settings in the settings menu. It's all like
I didn't even look.
I think the only thing in there is like a brightness slider, and I was like, well, I mean, I guess it's kind of, it makes sense, but yeah, anyway, I don't know if I would want to play the entire thing on my internet connection, because it does like drop pretty bad at times. It gets to
what
the
happens
point,
when it drops?
So it's kind of like if you're streaming video and your internet is not good, you know how it just kind of will drop down in resolution. It's sort of like
interesting
dynamic resolution scaling, I want to say.
Crazy.
But it can drop down far enough that you can barely make out what's on screen at times. Usually it doesn't stay there for very long. And like I said, even in those moments, like the input latency is not really an issue. So you can still kind of play it. Like it is playable. It's not ideal. I don't think people would want to like use this as their primary method of gaming if they don't have like solid, stable internet, which I guess is another thing that we can get into at some point. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's like, I could see myself probably trying to play the entire game, because I think for the most part, my internet was solid enough that I could get through playing it that way. And like I said, because it's not dependent on your hardware at all, it's only on your internet. The cool thing about it is that you could play this on like a Chromebook or like an average, you know, PC laptop. You don't have to have like crazy hardware.
Here's something else, and I don't know if this is true or not, because there were all those rumors about Google getting into the console game and whatnot, and this is seemingly the first steps of that. But at their event where they announced the Pixel 3, they also announced a couple other things, and something they didn't announce but they just started selling was the new Chromecast, which I'm pretty sure has Bluetooth support.
Yeah, so right now I have an NVIDIA Shield TV, which is running Android TV, and I wondered with this Project Stream thing if eventually it was gonna somehow be playable on the set-top box, and if that was maybe the way forward. And yeah, you're right, if you could somehow cast your Chrome tab, I feel like that would be where the input latency would come in if you did try to do that. But
well, I don't know, because I feel like the only reason for a Chromecast to have Bluetooth would be, I mean, I guess a remote, but a controller, you know?
Yeah, well, and I wonder if that's more ideally suited to like Android games rather than like casting a tab and trying to play something in the browser, which I thought it was funny when I first started playing. I was like, man, this is really sort of blowing those old like web-based Flash games that we used to play like in our youth. It's really a huge next step in the evolution of that type of a thing. But
yeah, I mean, if I had seen something on the scale of Assassin's Creed Odyssey on like Newgrounds, my head would have exploded.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's very cool. I think it's very cool tech. Do you think this is where the next console generation is going?
Well, Xbox has already said they have 2 SKUs for... I mean, gear up for this. It's so far away, but we should already start talking about the next E3. Yeah. Because I assume that we're going to get news on the new Xboxes and the new... whatever the new PlayStation is, PlayStation 5. But, yeah, Xbox has said 2 SKUs. One that is powered by, like, Project Scarlet stuff, which I assume is their cloud-based thing, which is this, basically. And then the local version, which is just like a beefed up next-gen console. But yeah, Xbox, Microsoft, they have their like Azure servers. They're definitely gearing up for a streaming future. And I think this is a positive first step. Like, I detect almost zero bad things about Project Stream.
So how long have you played?
I haven't played an Assassin's Creed game since the first one, so I've not kept up with the lore.
We should probably maybe talk a little bit about our thoughts on Assassin's Creed Odyssey as well. I know we haven't played a ton of it, and it's also like super late now that the game's been out for a few weeks, but anyway, go ahead.
I mean, so last I saw, it was that Desmond guy, but I know a ton of stuff has happened, and there's a ton of lore. Now there's, I guess, magic in Assassin's Creed, which is crazy to me. Like, I remember seeing news from Assassin's Creed Origins about how you could get like a chocobo camel, which is crazy to me.
What?
But yeah, I played the first part where you're playing as King Leonidas, and then I played a little bit. I picked the girl, and I played a little bit as her and just kind of messed around and climbed some stuff. But other than that, I really just wanted to like test the engine. So I tried jumping off. I tried things that I thought would mess up. So like I tried whipping the camera around really fast, and I tried just like things that I thought would have to render a whole lot, like jumping off of a cliff a far distance, or like trying to travel a quick amount. But no, I haven't really played the story much. Have you?
I've put in probably a handful of hours, and to me, I actually am really into it because I like how they're really like leaning into the whole RPG thing now, and it's basically just another open world RPG. And I like the stealth mechanics, and there's sort of like Far Cry style encampments to clear out that you can kind of sneak your way through. Like, this is definitely the kind of game that I would have probably spent a good like 80 to 100 hours exploring if it had come out during the summer.
Yeah.
But like Red Dead 2 is out later this week, so I don't know. But yeah, I think not just Assassin's Creed running on any hardware, but like the whole Project Stream, spending a lot of time with this is going to be hard for a lot of people probably, just because, Red Dead 2 is out, and then it doesn't get any easier next month because you've got Fallout 76, Battlefield 5, and Pokemon, so...
Oh yeah, I forgot about Pokemon.
It's going to be rough. You do have till January, so maybe in December... like right before it goes offline. I don't know what the next step is for
Well,
Project
here's something
Stream.
else. What happens when the beta concludes? Like, what if you have a save game? Like, what happens to your data? Is there a path forward? Like, if you're only 50% done?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I'm not sure where they take it from here. And if this is all just essentially an extended beta, and at some point, like, I keep wondering if this is going to lead to a full-on service offered by Google that you can kind of like subscribe to or something, and then you can get into all these big AAA games. I will say, just in my time playing, it impressed me that it basically does have what amounts to rest mode on like the PS4 and the Switch, where like I actually had the game crash on me once, where it just like sent me out to the Project Stream like window in Chrome, just completely out of the game. and I hit play, and it popped me right back into the conversation I was having as if nothing had ever happened. Yeah, so it's very cool, and it's also, it's kind of a sigh of relief because, you don't have to be like, oh, I forgot to save, and so I just lost like a half hour of gameplay or something like that.
Rest mode in general is something people don't talk enough about. Like, when we got the Switch, and I would play Zelda for like 2 hours and then turn it off, I would turn it right back on, and I would be right, like, there's no wait time on consoles anymore. PS4 is the same way, as long as it's not Destiny, when you have to like log back into the servers. But
right.
It's so nice that you don't have to wait for, there's basically no loading screens anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that they can pull that off with like a game running in a browser is pretty impressive. I don't know. I didn't play around with like trying to load different save files because it basically has the full suite of menu options that you get from the actual game aside from like the graphic options. But like you can go in there and you can make multiple saves. So if you want to like really intensely like try to do every different thing there is, and so you've like saved different like paths through the story. You could probably do that. I don't know, I haven't played around with trying that yet, but I don't know. I don't know what the like storage space sort of thing on their servers is like.
Also, I mean, I just keep coming back to a future where, like, for instance, we did a game night at my college recently. So everyone brought their game consoles, and it was a little bit of a trick to get everything set up. We had to get there 30 minutes early, but this posits a world where you show up with just a Chromecast and a Bluetooth controller, and maybe that's all you need. Like, you just plug that in, you get on the Wi-Fi, and suddenly any TV is able to be played on. Like, if they're putting forward, and I think this is probably what Xbox wants to do as well, if they're putting forward a world where you can put your console in your pocket and then just plug it into a TV. This is kind of like the Switch, except it doesn't have its own screen.
I was going to say, that sounds like the next step in the evolution of the Switch.
Which they're saying there's going to be a refresh of that next year, maybe at E3, so we'll see about that.
Yeah, I don't know, because I feel like there's a lot of people that are not going to spend the money to like keep up with the latest console, like especially if they're going to do these like half generation refreshes, or like, and there's a lot of people who just aren't going to spend the money on like, this beefy gaming PC. But if like anybody who's got like a Chromebook or just like an average PC laptop can just like stream something like Assassin's Creed with decent quality, and they just plug in a controller, like that's essentially going to make big games like this accessible to the masses in a way that consoles I guess have done, but like in a very different way.
I mean, it's going to be like, it's going to be on phones, it's going to be Fortnite is everywhere. It's going to be like that.
But it can't do that is the thing. So like Project Stream specifically says that you need the Chrome browser, but you can't run it on like a tablet. You can't do it on like the phone. So that's why I don't think you're going to just be able to like send this to Chromecast and use a controller that you've Bluetooth connected. Maybe that's where it goes from here, and they are able to pull that off at some point. But as of right now, you need to have a computer that's running Chrome, like the full version of Chrome. So you're not like a mobile version of Chrome.
What do you think that is? Do you think it's a bandwidth issue, or do you think it's a licensing issue? What if it's a licensing issue and they just like, for whatever reason, their license with Assassin's Creed only allows them to be on Chrome browsers?
I think it's probably got to do with the fact that if you tried to play this on a mobile version of Chrome, which I'm sure is like a dumbed down version of desktop Chrome to begin with, like, I guess you could maybe connect a Bluetooth controller to a phone or a tablet and try it that way, but I don't know. I feel like there's something in the way that a mobile version of a browser is coded that is just like not capable of doing what the full like PC version of the browser is capable of doing. I'm not like tech savvy enough to know the like inside scoop on how all of that runs, but I would guess it has something to do with that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I feel like we're mere steps away from being able to do like phone, like casting to phone. I mean, you can already, with Microsoft, you can already cast things to your phone from your computer. But yeah, it is a whole different can of worms when you're not doing it locally when it's completely from the web. So I don't know. It's very exciting technology, and I would qualify this as an enormous success, Project Stream.
Yeah, so far from what I've seen of it, I would also say that even though my internet's not necessarily the sort of internet that you would want to spend a significant amount of time playing a game like this through a browser on, like, it's still playable is the thing. Like, somebody who's not used to like super high-end graphics and is like willing to put up with like some resolution scaling, and like you could totally play the entire game all the way through and be perfectly content with it. Yeah. And there are people who will do that. And so yeah, as a just sort of proof of concept, I think it's a success. And I do actually want to play more Assassin's Creed. And because I've now put in like a handful of hours playing it through Project Stream, I don't know that I want to buy it, because I don't want to start over. So maybe I will just play more of it through Project Stream.
Got to finish by January 12th. But I mean, to stress again, Red Dead is coming out.
Yeah, I was going to
like
say,
4
it's
days.
not going to happen because Red Dead 2 later this week, and then so much in November. So, but the thing is, like last year, I didn't get around to Horizon Zero Dawn because of Zelda. And then over Christmas break from school, I played through the entire thing of Horizon Zero Dawn. So I think Assassin's Creed Odyssey might maybe be that game for me this year.
I completely forgot about Horizon Zero Dawn as a game.
Well, you should remember it because it's pretty good.
There's like a winter DLC, isn't there?
There was. I never played it, but I would definitely say I can see myself playing a lot of Assassin's Creed Odyssey in December. If I've gotten to a point in like all the other games where I'm like, okay, I can set aside some time for this game that I only have until January. What about you? Do you think you'll play any more of it?
I don't know. I have logged on a couple of times just to like mess around, but I have kind of been avoiding story even though I'm right at the beginning, just because I don't want to get sucked into the narrative, because I have heard that the writing is very good.
So far it has been. I've been just trying to clear the main, like that starter island.
Yeah.
And not necessarily get too deep into the story as well, but I've had so much fun doing that I really want to play more of it.
I love stealth mechanics, like Far Cry, and it's an Ubisoft game, so like Far Cry 4 was a really good game. Like, I love going to an encampment, which I think this is what this is, and just sort of like scouting stuff out. You have the Eagle, I know, in Assassin's Creed, and so that's right up my alley. It looks great, and I am a little bummed that I haven't played it at all, but I don't know, we'll see. It could be something I play as well when I get tired of Red Dead, depending on when that is.
Well, we don't know how long Red Dead is either. Like, it could be super long, so it could take us till the end of the year to finish it, but at the same time, like, if we finish it sometime in November, then that'll free up, our free time to play a lot of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, come Thanksgiving or Christmas break, so.
Yeah, I think I read Red Dead is a 60 to 80 hour game.
Yeah, I would imagine Assassin's Creed Odyssey is probably similar ballpark.
For sure.
If
Ubisoft
you
just like
to do everything.
Sprays all over the map with just like things to do. Like the density of activities in any Ubisoft game is just insane. So I'm sure if you want to 100% it, it's like a 100-hour game.
Yeah, well, and I'm also generally a fan of games that give you like dialogue options and let you sort of choose to be the Paragon or Renegade option in those. And this has that for sure. So I definitely think.
So does Red Dead.
Oh man, you're trying to kill me, but I don't know. I definitely want to play more of this, but I know it's gonna fall on the back burner the second Red Dead is out. So if Red Dead was in Project Stream, like
oh my god,
the internet would break.
I'm interested about what Google's plan was, not plan, but like their licensing agreement with Ubisoft, because they're seemingly like giving away. I think anyone who gets signs up for this beta will get into it. Yeah. So they're basically just giving away free copies of this game. Granted, it's limited until January, but
that's
I would
enough
be
time
very
to
interested
finish
to see.
Though.
Yeah, it definitely is, especially if you don't do any of the side quests. So
Yeah.
I would be interested to see the agreement between Ubisoft and Google. But
Yeah, I'm very curious
we'll
as to
never
how
know.
that worked out as well. Maybe it's just a good bit of exposure for them because they know they've released the game in a tough window. You had
Yeah.
Call of Duty, I think, came out the week after. Before that, you had like some other games. I know the like Forsaken
Spider-Man.
DLC came out, and yeah, Spider-Man was the month before that. Then Black Ops 4, then Red Dead Redemption 2, and then next month it doesn't get any easier either. So like for me, this game was the obvious one to say, well, I'm gonna pass on that because there's so much else there that I'm more interested in. But because of Project Stream specifically, I am actually playing it, and I
That's a
do
good
actually
point.
now want to play more of it. And for a lot of people who don't necessarily have the internet to keep up with it, they'll get to a point where they'll just say, you know what? I'm just going to buy this. I'm just going to download it. I'm just going to run it on good settings, and I'm not going to deal with this. Or maybe they get busy playing all the other games, and then come January, they're like, I need a new game. Oh yeah, that Assassin's Creed game was really good. I'm going to go play that now.
I mean, yeah, it's smart. I guess it remains to be seen, but
It could work out really well for them, but yeah, it is interesting that they would be willing to just like give the game away for free. So,
any closing thoughts?
I love the idea of this. I like the technology of it. I think it's huge for people who have wanted to get into gaming for a while, but they don't want to spend the money on like a $500 console or like spend the money on, an expensive gaming PC. They now potentially will have another option. I don't know when this will be like a real thing. Or how much all of it's going to cost to be able to keep up with, but I would be interested in seeing this run on a Chromebook or just like your average desktop PC or
I mean, my
laptop.
computer is 5 years old, and it ran totally fine.
Yeah.
But do you think that Google will have a presence at E3 this year?
Oh, yeah. So there have been rumors for a while about Google and maybe even Apple getting into the gaming console market. And I don't know what that does to, Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo if those big players get into the space. And with streaming, like, if somebody can pull that off, it's going to be Google. So, yeah, it could shake up the console market in a really big way.
TBD.
We will see. Until then, why don't you sign up and try this out yourself, because apparently it's free and anyone with a Google account can do it. So
Pretty much, yeah. I bet that if you sign up, you will get in. How
Yeah.
long did it take you from signing up to getting the email?
I mean, it was probably just a couple of days. It was not long at all. Like, you had to wait because you signed up when the announcement came out. So you had to
Yeah.
wait for them to start sending the invites out. Whereas I waited until you got yours and was like, oh, I can definitely do this. And I got it a couple days later. So it's not taking long either. So jump on it while you can and let us know how it works out for you.
Yeah, we'll put a link in the description.
Yeah, that's a good idea. All right. We will catch you on the next one, though.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.